out of the polymer waste, what we have been able to do at University of Ilorin is convert that polymer from its original oleophobic, hydrophobic stage to a material now that is no longer a film, but a highly porous particle. Now, the particle size is something we can control. It can come in very small nanoparticle size, or micro size, or even a big particle size. The issue is that in whatever way it is gotten, there is now a new phase of matter that we are dealing with. It is no longer a film. It is now a highly porous body. Now, we do know that oil stays atop of water indefinitely, and also realize that if you can make a particle that is porous and is lighter than water, it will also stay on top of water indefinitely. That is such a material as we have over here, because as I'm going to demonstrate to you now, you will see that this free-flowing particle is actually going to stay atop of water indefinitely. If the camera can come close, you can see that the material is floating on top of water. Now, we are going to do two things. And what I will do is that we are going to do oil spill management using particles and using pillows that we have prepared. One good advantage of this particle size material is that you can apply it directly as a particle, or you can package it into pillow sizes or into booms according to specification. What I'm going to do right now is show by pouring crude oil on plain water inside this green bowl and pour the same crude oil on the one inside this tray. Now, you have to go to the other side. This is crude oil being poured on you can see it floating to the top. I formed a pool of crude oil in the middle of water, as you can see. Now, I'll leave that one, and there are two ways we can go about this. We can either use particle to pick this one up and use pillow packaging to pick this one up. Maybe you should stop it. But what I'm going to show next is that you will see that when I pour crude oil into the water layer already having this processed particle on top of it, it will actually be contained in the middle to not go to the side of the bowl. And that is what I'm doing now. It will be completely contained in the middle, because what I'm doing is that I'm putting it on a surface where there is affinity for oil. Now, we expect the oil to go to the side of this bowl, but it will not go, because in essence we have given the oil a surface onto which it can be absorbed, and that makes it impossible for the oil now to go to the edges of this bowl. But what I'm going to do now is take a pillow loaded with the same particle and use it to absorb the oil that I put in the middle of the green bowl. actually goes into action immediately. And you can see that the volume of oil is already beginning to decrease. Everything will go into the body of this pillow packed with the absorbent particle that we have produced. I'm going to step out of the camera. Again, you can see the volume of the oil just shrinking and going inside the pillow. That is how fast the action of this oleosorbent particle is. It's able to completely contain oil spillage, either in the particle form or packaged as a pillow or as a boom, depending on what the user specifies for packaging. The oil that I made sure I poured it into the middle of the green bowl. What has happened essentially is that all the oil is now completely absorbed in this pillow, and it will stay so until this particular packaging material is calendared to squeeze out the oil. The oil is captured and captured permanently. There is no leakage of the oil once it's inside the porous particle. What I'm going to demonstrate next is how to use the oleosorbent particle to remove oil that is on the floor or on the soil. I will let the oil spread for a while and just come round and put the oleosorbent particle first around it to stop it from spreading. And actually, the beautiful thing is that without even putting it on the oil itself, once the oil is surrounded, it will just on its own go into the spillage. But for a quick action, what one can do is put the oleosorbent particle on top of the oil and just simply mop it up once the oil is picked up. We will allow about 2-3 minutes to be sure that the oil is completely absorbed by the particle, and simply mop it off the floor. What I'm about to demonstrate is how to pick up spills when it is on land or on a hard surface. All you have to do is sprinkle the oleosorbent particle like I've done over it, and after a few minutes just come around and you can see it being picked up along with the particles to leave a clean surface almost as if there had been no spillage at all. I will mop up the rest of the particles, and all one has to do, if one needs the oil back, is go at his own convenience to a remote location and recover the oil from the particles by calendering the oil out of the particles. Now, to have a general description of what is going on in this process, the raw material, as I've stated earlier, is the polymer waste that nobody knows how to get rid of, in the sense that if it ends up in landfill, it does not decompose. That happens to be raw material or starting material. But the good thing is that after we have gone through this polymeric reaction, and we now have a material that is oleophilic and hydrophobic, we have a material that is doing what other oleosorbents cannot do. The first advantage of this new product over what is obtainable in the market is that it is in particle form. Therefore, it is not limited by the shape or form or state of the material over which we are trying to clean the oil spillage. It can be in open river, in the ocean, in the bilge, in creeks, in corners, or even on top of a tree, because all one has to do is sprinkle this powder on top of the surface containing organic or oily material, and is able to absorb it and render it intactly absorbed inside the particle until one is ready to either calendar it or incinerate the material as a whole. Now, when one compares this product with other obtainable oleosorbents in the market, most of these other ones are in fiber form or in textile form. And in both cases, the limitation is that it is not able to go into creeks or into corners like these powders will do. Another advantage of this over it is because we have a material that is internally porous as a particle. Therefore, there are two mechanisms through which oil absorption is taking place. By capillary, just like the fabric or the fiber will do when they are doing oil spillage management. It will also pick it up by capillary. But we have an advantage. There is a high affinity created by the pores inside this particle that allows the rate of pickup to be much, much faster. Actually, 3 or even 10 times faster than the regular oleosorbent material will pick up these oil spillages. Product is the daily disposed polymer waste. Now, the particular product that this product targeted was the pure water sachet or the polyethylene film that consumers use to buy packaged water in Nigeria. On the average, we estimate that about 15 million sachets is disposed by Nigerians all over the country. This is one of the sources of our raw material. But virtually any polymer that is a polyolefin can be treated the same way the polyethylene film is treated to give us this product. So we are planning, when this production begins on industrial scale, to be processing about 5 tons per day of the polymer waste to make this product. Now, the issue is that because we are using a polymer and we have not actually changed the empirical formula of the polymer itself, it is still polyethylene or polyolefin or any of the polymer that we are processing. The structure is still intact. The only thing we have been able to change is the state. So what then happens is that when the material has absorbed the oil after oil spillage, what the user can do is, if he needs the oil back, he can calendar the oil out of the particles and reuse the oil, because there is no reaction between the oil that is picked up and this particle that I have in my hand. And this particle that I have in my hand. Now, since there is no reaction, the properties of the oil is still intact. The only thing is, this particular absorption method allows the producer to go to a remote location at his own convenience to squeeze out the oil that remains. Now, after the oil is squeezed out, one can reuse the particle over and over again. But there is going to come a time when the pickup rate of the particle will have gone down seriously or tremendously. At that point, the recommendation is that the particle being a polymer be incinerated along with the contained oil, and that gives added value even after the material has been able to use to manage oil spillage.